Ciao, benvenuto a Cars and Cooking. Today it's sponsored by Cafe Rico, which is my favorite coffee. It is not really sponsored by them, but I would love for them to hit me up and sponsor me. It's actually a Puerto Rican coffee. I have some Puerto Rican friends actually in the Volkswagen community that got me addicted to that. Thanks, guys and girls. It's not an easy coffee to find either, but it's a great coffee if you like coffee. So today's episode will be making a marinara sauce. It is actually National Spaghetti Day, evidently. I guess that's a thing. It's a thing at my house almost every day of the week. It's either spaghetti or some other type of pasta. If you recall, sono siciliana. I am Sicilian, so pasta is life. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the marinara sauce, and while that is simmering, I'm gonna go outside and change the thermostat on Nigel. Stay tuned for more. Arrivederci. Alright, I'm back. I had to change aprons. I realized I have the wrong apron on. This apron I actually picked up on one of my many trips to Palermo. Palermo is home to me. Right there. It's the island of Sicilia. And Il Cattedrale di Palermo is actually right around the corner from where my cousins live, or some of my cousins. They're actually all over the city of Palermo now. Every time I visit, there's like 10 new cousins I have to meet. So they grow by leaps and bounds. That's Italian or Sicilian life for you. So, correct apron. I actually have another apron that I can't find that I picked up while I was in Italy too, and it was like really cool mob-like apron, and I have no idea where it's at. So we're gonna go ahead and start making the marinara sauce. It is so simple. I know most everyone likes to buy jar sauce, and I try to encourage people to make their own. It's easy, it's simple, it's actually really inexpensive. Don't need a lot of ingredients. Garlic, I love garlic, so most of my recipes I can't tell you quantities or measurements because in Italy we cook to taste. So if you like garlic, put more garlic in. If you don't like garlic, put less or put none in. It's really your preference. So garlic, sale, salt, basil. Believe it or not, we don't use a lot of oregano. I know that a lot of people think that we do. We don't. Sugar, zucchero. I know it's an odd ingredient. I like my sauce a little bit sweet, and American tomatoes tend to be very acidic, and I'm not fond of the acid in the tomatoes. So you can use a little bit of sugar, or you can use green pepper. It's up to you, or you can use both. Again, these sort of things is really preference. Is your preference. Olive oil is a must-have. Just a little to coat the bottom of the pan so you can saute your garlic. Garlic sautés really, really quick. You don't want it brown. So I'm going to chop up my garlic. You can chop it, you can slice it, you can squish it. It's completely up to you. I'm not afraid of garlic. So I use pomodori chopped. I don't like the crushed because it's more of a soupy consistency. And I don't like the finely chopped tomatoes either because the same reason. It's really, really soupy. It works for some recipes, but not for all. So basically, I'm going to chop up my garlic. I'm going to saute it for maybe a minute on medium heat. I have a gas stove, so if you have electric, just keep an eye on it. Once you can smell it in the pan, it's usually red. It's done, so you can turn it down to low. After I do that, I add my tomatoes, add a little bit of salt to taste, sugar to taste. Usually I'm using 2 cartons, so probably about a 1/4 cup of sugar, basil to taste. And actually today, this is a Sicilian thing. Actually, a lot of people from Palermo like to put peas in their sauce. I know my friends in San Michele also put peas in their sauce. So I'm going to toss some peas in it as well. It will make it a little sweeter, but sweet is good. Don't be afraid to experiment. And a marinara sauce is a great base sauce. So you can I'll throw zucchini, sauteed zucchini. I might throw some sauteed eggplant. It just depends on what I have laying around and what I feel like doing. Alright, so the garlic has sauteed. Not too brown. The scent, I wish you could smell it. I am such a garlic fan. I love garlic. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my tomatoes. Again, I love these tomatoes. They actually came from Italy. When I lived in Italy from 1987 to 1992. When we first moved there, I met some Italian friends and we went to their house. They made fresh pasta. Their mom was always making fresh homemade pasta. And I'll never forget, we still laugh. She sent home a silver platter, like a real silver platter. Just met us with fresh homemade pasta. We were like, who does that? Like a real silver platter. So tomatoes are added. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I use sea salt. You can use sea salt. You can use Himalayan salt. You can use iodized salt. Whatever you prefer. Whatever you have in your house. Doesn't really matter. Basil. Shout out to the DeKalb International Farmers Market. That's where I get the majority of my spices. Which I was looking for chipotle chili seasoning and bought it for a small fortune at my Publix grocery store. And when I was at the farmers market, they had it for half the price. And they had more. Remember I said sugar, or as we call it in Italy, zucchero. Zucchero is actually one of my favorite Italian band singers too. So, and again, well, if you've seen my other videos, you'll recognize my container. I live in Georgia. We have bugs. This keeps the ants out. I do not do bugs. Like, ugh. I'll work on a car. I will get my hands dirty. I will not do bugs. Ants gross me out. Peas. I'm surprised my cat isn't in here crying right now for food. I've opened 2 cans and usually she's like, meow, feed me, Mom. It's wet food time. And she's just patiently somewhere. I don't know where. So I'm going to go ahead and let the sauce simmer. Just a small hint. The sauce always tastes better on day 2 or day 3. Just because all of your seasonings have simmered together and it's so good. And it's going to smell really good here in a little bit. So while it's simmering, I'm going to go ahead and go outside and change the thermostat on Nigel. Ci vediamo presto. Ciao, ciao. Alright, so today I am about to change the thermostat on Nigel. One of the old school tests of finding out whether or not the thermostat is good or bad is when you pull it out, tossing it into a pot of boiling water. If it opens, it's good. If it doesn't, it's bad. So actually I already know this one is good, but I'm not sure what temperature a thermostat they put in it when they changed it. So I'm going to change it anyways. It's an inexpensive repair and typically fairly easy. This one is 5 bolts and it's out. Did already flush the system, so didn't want to bore you with that. On Nigel, it's a simple process. Nigel's radiator's been changed and it actually has a drain plug, which is awesome. So just unplug that, drain the antifreeze, flush it, put some new one in. If you don't have a drain plug, remove the lower radiator hose and let it drain. Flush it. They sell the kits at your local auto parts store. And then don't reuse that old nasty antifreeze. Buy some Harbor Freight if you have one. Remember, it's half the price if you don't have the coupon, and it's even cheaper if you do. Don't lose the bolts. Otherwise, unless you have spares, you're going to have to run to the hardware store and get new ones. Which would mean Nigel would have 1 pretty bolt and 4 old bolts. But we'll find it.
So thermostat isn't something people typically think of changing. I've done it on my Mustang years ago. Again, it's an easy fix. And let me grab a pry bar and see. Alright, so we're gonna pry it off. It's actually sealed really good, so that's a good thing. You want it to be sealed well. So, alright, so the housing is off. You'll see the thermostat down there below. Might be a little easier to get to if you remove the hose, but you don't have to. The hose is bendable. And we're going to pull it out. So there's the old grimy. This is why the system was flushed. If you see all that brown gook, that's old antifreeze, rust, and dirt. You don't want that in your cooling system and the engine. So, I'm not sure what oh, it's 160 degree thermostat, so a summer thermostat. Definitely don't want that in the winter. If you've watched my previous videos, you know I don't do cold, so I need heat. Easy. Here's your new thermostat, 195 degrees. Nice, clean gasket. Alright, speaking of needing heat, it might be sunny out here today, but that wind is a cool winter breeze. So the thermostat and gasket actually are from a 74 mg. The stock thermostat for a mini is 195 degrees. The one I pulled out, as I mentioned, is 160 degrees. The previous owners I got this car from had it over the summer, and that's when the radiator was changed. So likely they put a cooler thermostat in because Georgia summers are hot and humid. So definitely don't need a lot of heat in the summer here. The mini came out of England, so you want heat. England has cool, damp winters, so heat is definitely important. And again, I love heat. So, simple repair. The gasket is still good, so I'm not going to change the gasket. We'll just hold on to it as a spare. Easy. Set the thermostat in. Make sure it's sitting nicely in the little ridges if you can see them. Right there around the edges. So make sure it's lined flush before you seal it. I'm not going to use any RTV either because, again, it was sealed really tightly. The gasket's brand new. The car has not really been driven since I bought it, and it wasn't driven much since the previous owners bought it. So no need to go through all of that. Normally, though, if you're doing this, I would recommend changing out the gasket if you don't know. If the gasket, especially if it's not in good condition, you want it to seal. So we're going to go ahead and remount the thermostat. Alright, so they're tightened. Tighten, but don't over tighten. Let's check them one more time. Make sure they're nice and snug. The last thing we want is antifreeze leaking out because you didn't tighten the bolts. Alright, and it's in. Why, you ask, am I using a funnel? Yes, most people would not use a funnel to add radiator fluid, antifreeze, coolant, call it what you will. I make a mess when adding fluids to any car. I have shaky hands for some reason when it comes to fluids. So Nigel takes approximately a gallon. We're going to add it slowly so it doesn't overflow. Then we're going to go in and turn the car on and turn the heater system on. And even with the funnel, it's leaking out. So I told you, I'm sloppy when it comes to fluids. Plus, we don't want to harm the animals. So antifreeze is super sweet, and for whatever reason, dogs evidently like it. So It's pretty full right now, and that is about half a gallon. So let's start it up, let it circulate, and see what we've got. So the coolant has circulated through the cooling system, and we have heat. So hot, you can roast a weenie on it. Mission accomplished. Heater core has been changed. Thermostat's also been changed to vital components for the cooling system and heat. Now it is time to go eat. Alright, we are back. It was a successful installation on Nigel. The thermostat is in. Changing a thermostat is usually a very simple process. Didn't run into any issues. Now it's time to make this pasta and mangia. While I was changing the thermostat, the postman came and brought me some really cool mail today from England. For my fellow Volkswagen lovers. England has the best note cards, and I love mail and I love cool cards. And look, it's even got this awesome bus sticker on the back. Thanks, Wendy! So we're gonna go ahead and boil the pasta al dente. Don't overcook your pasta. Everyone says pasta makes you fat. They lie. I eat pasta all the time, and evidently it's not making me fat. So when I lived in Italy, I'll never forget, we had friends over. I want to say it might have been Thanksgiving. I don't know. We had all of the guys over from my dad's flight, security policeman, and he and Mr. Liuzzi were in the kitchen making pasta, and they were arguing as to whether or not you should break the spaghetti in half. Dad said no, Mr. Liuzzi said yes. Mr. Liuzzi is full-blooded Italian, so we're going with Mr. Liuzzi. I'm going to cook my pasta al dente. This is thin spaghetti or spaghettini, not angel hair. I hate angel hair. It cooks too fast and it tends to stick. One of the tricks when we were kids, we used to get to toss a piece of spaghetti against a painted wall. If it stuck, it was ready. So try that if you want to know if it's al dente. It should be a little bit firm on the center when it's done. So we'll be right back once the pasta's done. Alright, the pasta's al dente. I've mixed my sauce and the pasta together in a bowl. I haven't mixed it all up yet. I layered it, mixed it, layered it, mixing it again. And you can see the green peas. Oh, I'm so hungry. Working on a car makes you hungry. And to wash it down, I'm going to show you a little trick that might sound funny. And you cannot use American Coke for this. You see my Coca-Cola? It's actually Mexican because I can't get Italian here. And my Peroni beer. Birra e Coca. So when I go home to Sicily, my cousin will make a special drink that we drink with lunch and dinner. Mix half beer. I know y'all are going, oh, that's gross, but it really is not gross, and it is not a waste of beer. Mix some Coca-Cola. Look at that foam from the beer. And let me just taste this while the foam is kind of calming down. Haven't put my cheese on it yet, but that's okay. Usually use fresh Parmigiano or Asiago. Perfetto, buonissimo. Alright, be sure you're following me and subscribing to me on my YouTube channel, Nigel D'Amico, which if you're watching this, you're already there, so hit that subscribe button. Also follow me on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram as well. Thank you for your support. Make sure you're sharing with friends, comment, and like. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Ciao ciao. Ci vediamo.